This past offseason, Klay Thompson had a massive decision to make. He was finally leaving the Golden State Warriors and was a true free agent for the first time in his career. Despite a few devastating injuries the prior couple of years, he had real interest as he looked for the perfect mix of opportunity and title contention, and where he ended up was the Dallas Mavericks, the biggest disaster team in the entire league right now, and he absolutely regrets that decision. Honestly, when you think about free agency decisions over the last couple of seasons, what players had more regret in the first couple of months with their new team than Klay Thompson has this season in Dallas with the Mavs, choosing them over the Lakers, and then also what's happening with the Warriors right now. Now, we've talked about the Mavs situation a ton lately, but it's worth outlining in the context of Klay Thompson's decision. Obviously, there is no more Luka. They traded away Luka for Anthony Davis, Max Christie, and a first-round pick. And then now, Kyrie Irving is hurt as well. And the future of the Mavs, everything that they're going to be about for really the rest of the decade is completely in question. You've got two early 30 stars in Anthony Davis and Kyrie Irving that have a long list of injury issues in their past. Kyrie's not even under contract beyond next season. He has a player option for this upcoming offseason. And everything that he thought he was signing up for when he went to Dallas to play alongside Luka, Kyrie, a team that just made the finals, is completely out the window. And to make things even worse for Klay, as the Mavs look to potentially change around this roster offseason, there's been rumors about them potentially adding Kevin Durant alongside Kyrie and AD. Klay Thompson is in the unfortunate position where he's one of the few kind of middling contracts that they have on this roster, to the point where he could be a real trade chip this offseason and then not even get to pick his destination. He could end up on some random team he didn't even want to be on just a year after having a choice between the Mavericks, the Warriors potentially returning to them, although that didn't seem super likely, and then of course the Lakers. And really the two main contenders for Klay Thompson in the offseason were the Mavs and the Lakers. And reportedly the Lakers offered him more money, but he decided to go to Dallas. One, because they just made the finals. It looked like they were going to be a more competitive team long term. And two, there's tax differences between LA and Dallas, and their money was actually pretty close. And Klay just decided the Mavs were a better place to be. He gets to play alongside Luka, a team that just made the finals, and it is not lost on anyone the irony of the fact that if he had signed with the Lakers, he actually would have been able to play with Luka long term rather than a couple of months like he did in Dallas. And at the time, from a basketball perspective, it was absolutely the right decision for Klay Thompson as well. The Mavs looked like a contender. They just made the finals. They looked like they were going to be a contender for years, and the Lakers, quite frankly, did not look like one. They looked like a nice story. Maybe it'd be kind of interesting to play alongside LeBron, but Klay's been about winning his entire career. He's had a ton of success in Golden State, and the new team that he was going to go to, he wanted to make sure he had an opportunity to actually win a title, and that was really the final point in his decision to end up in Dallas. And now you can't help but think exactly what things would have looked like for Klay if he had chosen the Lakers instead. Speaking of choices, I want to talk about a choice that has made a real difference in my life lately, and that is the sponsor of today's video, For Wellness. For Wellness is a wellness brand founded by Phil Mickelson, and what I want to talk to you about today is actually coffee. It's actually their coffee supplement called The Good Stuff. And right here I have the Focus formula, which has a ton of beneficial wellness ingredients you can mix right into your morning coffee. Because for me, if you're going to make actual changes in your life, things are going to benefit you on a daily basis, it needs to be easy in order to be sustainable. It needs to be convenient, and that's why this is absolutely perfect for me. I have coffee literally every single day. This just goes right into it and makes a big difference in my day. It's not too sweet. It's not a pill. It's just a nice, convenient way to give your day a boost. So not only is it easy, but it's also athlete approved and has over 10,000 5-star reviews. So if you're thinking about trying it out, I would encourage you to, because it really has helped me focus a little bit more. And like I said, it's so easy. It just goes in your coffee. It does not interrupt your day in any way. And when you subscribe, you get a free welcome kit, which includes either the on-the-go option, 30 travel packs and a tumbler, or the countertop classic, which is a 30 serving pouch in a little canister and a metal scoop. Right now, subscribers also enjoy 25% off the single purchase price for life, with the option to save up to 30% on double subscriptions. So right now you can save 25% on your first subscription. Just click the link in the description and use my code SPORTING to get free shipping on your first order as well. And thank you again to For Wellness for sponsoring this video. So back to Klay Thompson on the Lakers. What exactly would that have looked like? Well, early in the season, it probably would have been a little awkward. The Lakers were fine, but not great. They didn't have much of an identity. They were relying too much on LeBron. Then we had the AD injury stuff in the middle of the season, and they looked a lot like Lakers teams we've seen over the last couple of seasons. Marginally better because of the coaching improvement between JJ Redick and Darvin Ham, but overall the roster just was not good enough to contend, and that would have been the case even with someone like Klay Thompson out there. But since the trade deadline, since they added Luka, everything has changed for the Lakers. The biggest surprise to me is that they have been fantastic on defense, even since adding Luka, who's not known as a good defender, and losing Anthony Davis, who was the entirety of their rim protection, and the fact that they don't really have a starting caliber 5 in the entirety of the roster. They've been really good defensively, and a lot of that has been because LeBron has actually been awesome on defense. defense. This is the most locked in that we've seen LeBron really in years, especially on the defensive end of the floor. And he looks once again like one of the 10 best players in the entire league from a two-way perspective as well. And with this new version of the roster, they really could have used a really good shooting two-guard running off screens and providing spacing out there. And that's exactly what Klay Thompson would have been. And he wouldn't have been involved in the Anthony Davis trade, I would presume, because the trade, the salaries, it worked out perfectly fine the way that it was. They wouldn't have needed Klay's $15 million contract in the deal as well. So the Lakers could have had Klay Thompson. Klay could have played with Luka long term if he had just decided to go with the Lakers in the offseason. But at the time, people liked the decision by Klay. They liked the concept of him going to play with Luka, a team that just made the finals, a team that was making plenty of roster changes, losing guys like Derrick Jones, a couple of other guys that were on their finals team from the year prior, and adding someone like Klay Thompson in looked to be a perfect fit. And although it wasn't always perfect in the beginning of the season when Luka and Kyrie were both out there alongside him, it was something that made a lot of sense, and he didn't regret the decision at all in the beginning of the year. And it's just crazy to think about going back to that decision, the moment that Klay Thompson decided to go to the Mavs instead of the Lakers, a decision that most people thought was a good idea. And if he had decided to go to the Lakers, there's no way for him to anticipate this. He could have literally gone directly from the Warriors to a contender in the Lakers if he just waited around a couple of months for the Luka trade to happen. And as we look towards the future for Klay Thompson and for the Mavs and for the Warriors, it's crazy to think about the fact that now, moving forward, both the Warriors and the Lakers look like contenders because the Warriors made their own trade deadline moves, adding in someone like Jimmy Butler. They've added a couple of other guys as well in the offseason. And all of a sudden, both of those teams, the team one that Klay left in the Warriors, two that he chose the Mavs over in the Lakers, both look like real legitimate contenders. Midseason acquisitions have changed everything for those teams. And now Klay is just kind of stuck in Dallas. And not only is he stuck in Dallas, but as I mentioned earlier, because of the way his salary works within the rest of this Mavs roster, he could actually end up being traded to a team that he never even wanted to go to in the first place. And it's just made that much worse now with the Kyrie injury, which we talked about a couple of days ago, because theoretically, even post-Luka trade, there was a version of this Mavs team with Kyrie and Anthony Davis both healthy that would have made a lot of sense, that could have actually pushed for contention this season. And even though the Luka trade never made any sense, having Davis and Kyrie together, Klay out there, PJ Washington, the double bigs in the front court, it actually would have been a real threat and a tough team to play in the postseason. And although it still wouldn't have been a great choice for Klay long term, he wasn't signing with the Mavs for the long term. He was signing there for a couple of seasons to try and give himself his best chance at winning another title and make some money while he's at it. And now all of that stuff is completely out the window. And it's just crazy to think about the fact that it was the correct decision in the moment. When Klay Thompson goes to Dallas, no part of him is thinking, well, they might trade Luka in exchange for Anthony Davis in the middle of the season and I won't have a chance to play with Luka anymore. Or he's definitely not thinking Kyrie might tear his ACL and then I'm not going to be able to play with Kyrie anymore and then the whole future of the Mavs franchise is going to be completely up in the air. I can't imagine what Klay is thinking, knowing he had the option to go to the Lakers, knowing that he chose Dallas because it was a winning basketball situation, and everything about those two teams since Klay Thompson made that decision has completely flipped.